你们就靠边了啊，后边的，后边跟他们说一下。把那个声音打开吧。
Good afternoon. Welcome, Ambassador Wang.
Hello, Jeffrey. How are you?
Good.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes. So, ready? Everything is ready?
Everything's ready. Yeah.
Great. Yes.
We'll start in 2-3 minutes.
Okay. I think we have we got Madam Fu Ying with us now?
I see her name in the Zoom page. I don't know if she's already there. Yeah.
Hello, Ambassador. Hello, everybody.
Hello. Hello. Yeah. Hello, Minister Fu Ying. How are you? Good to see you. Yes. Jeffrey, this is Madam Fu Ying, and that's the President Jeffrey.
Yeah. Welcome, Madam Fu Ying.
Thank you. Nice to see you this way.
Yeah. You're no stranger in the Philippines. You were ambassador 22 years ago.
Right. Thank you for remembering that. I was a bit. I feel sorry to hear that Foreign Minister got sick.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm recovering well already. Thank you.
Good.
I think, Madam, you can find a lot of old friends among the audience here.
Thank you. I'm trying to organize my screen to see. Wow, I can see a lot of people. Hi, hello everybody. A lot of people. Great. Hello, everybody. Wow.
Yeah, it's like a reunion for most of the people here. Many people here still remember and know you from your first stint here in the Philippines.
Thank you. So I'm so happy to see all those faces. Great.
I hope after the pandemic, you will be able to come again to meet your old friends here.
Thank you. Looking forward. I hope this year we'll see the end of the pandemic. It's been so long.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we all hope so.
How is the pandemic in the Philippines?
It's not good. We have very high positivity rate, almost 50% in the Philippines. Right now, we probably get around 39,000 new cases every day.
39,000. That's a lot.
That's reported cases only.
Yes.
Since the PCR test capability is only about 70,000. So that means that almost half of them. Hello, Secretary. How are you? Thank you, Secretary, for. Yes. So let me introduce to you to Madam Fu Ying, the former ambassador. This is Secretary Lorenzana, the Secretary of Defense.
Hello.
Can you demute it?
Can you unmute?
Good afternoon, Madam Ambassador.
Yes.
Happy to meet you.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
I'm in a tropical place, the only tropical place in China, Hainan. Spring weather.
Yeah, I've been there also one time, Madam Ambassador. We went there with the president.
It seems that you are losing weight, Secretary.
I am recovering from COVID, Mr. Ambassador. I was infected last week. So
last week, I see. I'm sorry about that.
Still weak.
Did you take Liang Hua?
Of course, I still have a lot of you what you gave me.
Some people religiously taking Liang Hua here.
Yes. It helped a lot. Yes.
Was it Omicron or Delta?
I think it's Omicron, Madam Ambassador. It's just a mild infection, but it's
Mild.
still very miserable. It feels miserable.
Mhm.
Sorry for that. Sorry. Take care.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you, Madam Ambassador. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Ambassador.
should you need more than what, please let me know.
Yes, Mr. Ambassador, I will tell you.
Mhm. Well,
Yeah,
Yeah.
welcome,
Yeah,
Secretary
Secretary,
Guevara.
welcome.
Yes.
the Secretary, yes, Secretary of Justice, yeah, welcome.
Good
Thank you
afternoon,
for-
all of you, and thank you for welcoming me to this forum.
Yeah, thank you, yeah. Stay safe.
I couldn't see you. Is that? Sorry. 这个是它还是上线了啊，是不是？
We'd like to acknowledge the presence of Secretary of National Defense, Delphin Lorenzana, Secretary of Justice, Bernardo Guevara, Senator Coco Pimentel.
Hello, Senator, how are you? Good to see you here.
I'm fine, Your Excellency, Mr. Ambassador.
Yeah. Let me introduce you to Madam Fu Ying, the former ambassador to the Philippines.
Hi, Your Excellency. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Jaime. Good to see you.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
I thought it was the movie.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation for today's forum. Good afternoon, everybody.
Yeah.
Good afternoon po, Sir Coco Pimentel, General Lorenzana, and also my friend DOJ Guevara. And also Madam Fu Ying, good afternoon.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon.
It's 3 p.m. We'd like to start.
Okay.
So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Good afternoon. Welcome to the 5th Manila Forum on Philippines-China Relations, organized by the Association for Philippines-China Understanding, or APCU, in cooperation with the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in Manila. I am Jeffrey Nang, President of APCU and your host this afternoon. We will now start the forum with the welcoming remarks by APCU Chairman Emeritus, President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo.
State Councilor and Minister Wang Ying, Chairperson Fu Ying, Ambassador Wang, Secretary Lambino, President Nang, ladies and gentlemen. I join our colleagues in APCU and the Chinese Embassy in Manila in welcoming everyone to this 5th Manila Forum. A special welcome to State Councilor Wang Yi, who not long ago launched this Manila Forum with me. A special welcome to and belated happy birthday to Chairperson Fu Ying, who made her ambassadorial debut as Chief of Mission in the Philippines when I was Vice President. We are ready to hear the gems that our speakers will share with us, and to know ideas about how to ensure that the close and mutually beneficial Philippines-China friendship will endure for many decades. Relations between the Philippines and China should not be unidimensional, meaning only centered on territorial disputes. They should be multifaceted with an economic phase, a political phase, a cultural phase, a Filipino people to Chinese people phase. Hearing from State Councilor Wang Yi and Chair Fu Ying is especially enlightening at this time. With the world reeling anew from Omicron, we can learn from their wisdom on how South China Sea tensions and troubles can be prevented from posing grave threats to both stability and recovery, possibly destabilizing the region, sparking conflict, and impacting trade, travel, and investment with as much as or even greater intensity than COVID-19. Imagine what an exchange of fire between warships of the People's Liberation Army and the U.S. 7th Fleet would do to stop currency and commodity markets worldwide. We hope that such an unwelcome event remains pure imagination. But the reasons to worry keep growing. The United States has just sent an aircraft carrier strike group and a landing helicopter dock group to the South China Sea, where the Chinese aircraft carrier Shandong exercised 2 weeks ago. Last year, for the first time in years, if not ever, aircraft carrier groups of America and China deployed in the South China Sea at the same time. So did French and British warships. These events overshadowed Philippine diplomatic protests and the exchange of unfriendly words between Manila and Beijing over the presence of Chinese vessels near Whitsun Reef. In addition, there is the recent Australia-United Kingdom, United States or AUKUS Accord, whereby Australian nuclear-powered submarines initially leased from the US and Australian warships armed with long-range Tomahawk cruise missiles can enter the fray. Friends of China need to be enlightened on what is China's response to that escalation. These East Asian frictions and the threat of superpower hostilities constitute a geopolitical worry. In the high-stakes endeavor to avoid war and advance peace, one has to begin with a full and frank understanding of the fundamental interests driving the perceptions, policies, and actions of nations, especially the preeminent players, whose naval and air forces face one another on, under, and above the high seas. In the quest to build peace and harmony amid rising nations, there are two schools of thought. Asia's way has long been the expansion of economic and diplomatic ties while quietly managing matters of dispute. ASEAN is the best example of this approach. In contrast to Asian dialogue and consensus building, the other approach to peace and security is the Western model of balance of power, which has made Europe one of the most militarized regions in the world. But the diversity of historical conditions determines the diversity of the paths that various countries could viably choose. So, which peacekeeping approach should Asia have under present conditions? We hope to find some answers to the discussions in the Manila Forum. Once again, I welcome every participant to this forum and wish you all a hearty mabuhay.
Thank you, Madam President, for the welcome remarks. And now for the keynote address, let us hear from State Councilor and Foreign Minister of the People's Republic of China, His Excellency Wang Yi.
尊敬的阿瑞阁下，尊敬的罗金外长，
Your Excellency Gloria, Macapagal, Arroyo, Your Excellency Secretary of Foreign Affairs Teodoro Locsin, ministers, guests, friends, good afternoon. It's my great pleasure to join you again at the Manila Forum for China-Philippines Relations. A year ago, Her Excellency Gloria, Macapagal, Arroyo, and I announced together the launch of the forum in Manila. I'm very glad to see it growing rapidly during the past year and its role in promoting the mutual trust and cooperation between our two peoples. I'd like to salute Your Excellency Gloria Macapagal Arroyo and people from all sectors in both countries who have worked so hard for China-Philippines friendship. China and the Philippines are neighbors facing each other across the sea and partners through thick and thin. Not long ago, when the Philippines was hit by a super typhoon, President Xi Jinping promptly expressed his sympathies and support, and the Chinese government was among the first to provide emergency assistance. The Philippine people are strong and resilient. We believe that under the leadership of President Duterte and the Philippine government, people in the affected areas will rebuild their home at an early date. To support their reconstruction, I'd like to announce that the Chinese government has decided to provide another 100 million RMB yuan of grant to the Philippines. Friends, China's friendly interactions with the Philippines date back to over a millennium ago. China brings to the Philippines not colonization or war, but cooperation and friendship. The story about the King of Sulu's visit to China was a historical epitome of our friendship. While in office, President Arroyo made many solid efforts to enhance China-Philippines friendship. After taking office, President Duterte made the strategic decision to improve relations with China, and rainbows appeared in China-Philippines relations after the rainstorms. Facts have proved that the decision fully conforms with the fundamental interests of the Philippines and its people, the common interests of China and the Philippines, and the trend toward peace and development in the region. I am confident that people with insight from our two countries will keep to this right direction and write more splendid chapters of China-Philippines friendship. Looking ahead, China will continue to pursue a policy to foster an amicable, secure, and prosperous neighborhood and stay committed to the principle of amity, sincerity, mutual benefit, and inclusiveness in its neighborhood diplomacy. We will promote greater solidarity and cooperation with the Philippines. China will join hands with the Philippines to prevail over the pandemic. China has provided the Philippines with over 57 million doses of COVID vaccines. We will continue to help meet the Philippines' need for vaccines and work with you on developing effective medicines and building up public health capacity to eventually defeat the virus. China will join hands with the Philippines to speed up development and rejuvenation. The Belt and Road Initiative and the Build, Build, Build strategy are now seamlessly coordinated. Irrigation, dam, and telecommunications projects are moving ahead at a faster pace, and many follow-up cooperation programs, such as railways and bridges, are in the pipeline. China has also supported the Philippines in important undertakings such as the building of drug rehabilitation centers, post-conflict reconstruction in Marawi, and bridge projects in Manila. As the largest trading partner and export market of the Philippines, China will keep its doors open to more Philippine agricultural products and make more investment in the country, with a view to contributing to your efforts in accelerating industrialization and modernization and capacity building for self-generated development. China will join hands with the Philippines to properly handle the South China Sea issue. We each have our respective claims and positions. Before an agreement can be reached, it is important that we put the issue in a proper place and prevent it from affecting or even taking hostage the overall bilateral relationship. Stressing only one side's claims and imposing one's own will on the other is not a proper way for neighbors to treat each other, and it also goes against the Oriental philosophy of how people should get along with each other. China will absolutely not use its strength to bully smaller countries, and we never believe in the winner-takes-all approach. We hope to work with the Philippines to find ways to properly manage and resolve the issue in the spirit of goodwill and pragmatism. We need to come up with a resolve as soon as possible to advance joint development without prejudice to either side's rights and claims. so that we can turn the South China Sea issue from a challenge into an opportunity and a positive factor conducive to the development of the Philippines and the friendship between our two peoples. China will join hands with the Philippines to maintain peace and stability in the region. East Asia, the shared home for China and the Philippines, is the region with the greatest development potential in the world. This has not come by easily and should be doubly cherished. However, some forces outside the region are trying to frustrate this good momentum with repeated provocations. As two important members of the region, China and the Philippines should stay committed to an independent foreign policy, uphold the ASEAN-centered regional cooperation architecture, deepen the China-ASEAN comprehensive strategic partnership, and contribute to the stability and prosperity of the region. Friends, the year 2022 is important for both China and the Philippines. China will soon enter the Winter Olympics time, and the Communist Party of China will hold its 20th National Congress later in the year. The Philippines also has important domestic political agenda this year. Standing at a new historical starting point, let us always bear in mind the well-being of our two peoples, commit to steering our friendly relations in the right direction, follow the course charted by our top leaders, remove disturbances, deepen cooperation, and jointly usher in an even better future for China-Philippines relations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Our next distinguished speaker is a former ambassador to the Philippines, Australia, and United Kingdom, and Vice Foreign Minister. She now serves as Vice Chairperson of the Foreign Affairs Committee of China's 13th National People's Congress. She is Chairperson of the Center for International Security and Strategy of Tsinghua University. Let us welcome Her Excellency, Madame Fu Ying.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jeffrey Nong, for your introduction. Your Excellency, Madame Arroyo, the Honorable Mr. Lorenzana, the Secretary of National Defense, and the Honorable Mr. Guevara, Secretary of Justice, and the there are many senators. How are you? Good afternoon. I think I also want to address Ambassador Huang Xilian, Mr. Huang, who has been my colleague for a long time. It's an honor and pleasure for me to invite it to join all of you to have this forum. And I'm invited to first say something about our relationship. I want to start by complimenting APCU for organizing this event at this important time of our relationship. And I highly appreciate the effort and joining jointly with the Embassy of China in Manila to host this event for all of us to be able to meet and have a good discussions. This association has been founded before the establishment of our diplomatic relations, and it has devoted itself to promote people-to-people exchanges for nearly half a century. Just now, I listened carefully to Madame Arroyo, and I am, as always, impressed by her sincerity for advancing the China-Philippine relations and her emphasis on the importance of maintaining regional peace and stability, which I share. The golden age of our relationship was ushered in during her presidency, and she has continued to care about and support the friendly cooperation. The Chinese State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi also spoke highly of the achievements of our relationship and proposed 4 areas where we should join hands, namely fighting the pandemic, speeding up development, managing South China Sea issue, and maintaining peace and stability. For me, the Philippines was the first country where I served as ambassador, and I have kept fond memories of the warm and friendly people, as well as the beautiful sceneries. My Manila days witnessed quite a few landmark events in our relationship, and I made lots of friends, with many of whom I still have kept contact, and many I've saw on the online. Even years after leaving Philippines, I've continued to follow its development and its relationship with China. Last October, I read on the news that typhoon hit Tabuk in Luzon, causing devastating damage to the rice plantation. But the good news was that the typhoon-resistant hybrid rice was able to come back to its feet. It was a new breed cultivated with the technologies helped and offered by the Chinese agricultural experts. So I thought it must be a considerable relief for the farmers. And this story brought my mind back to the year of 1999, when I accompanied the Chinese agricultural minister, Mr. Chen, to tour the farms in the Philippines to see if hybrid rice could be brought to the Philippines. In the same year, the 2 countries signed an agreement on agricultural cooperation and set up the Philippine-China Center for Agricultural Technology. In the following 2 decades, Mr. Yuan Longping, the late prominent agricultural expert, sent teams of professionals to work in the paddy fields across the country and successfully cultivated new breeds that suited the local soil and climate. This fruitful cooperation not only helped raise the rice output in the Philippines, but also added to the friendship between our 2 peoples. In our cooperation, which have been expanding rapidly and bringing tangible benefit to the people. I've learned about many completed or ongoing infrastructure projects, including roads, bridges, irrigation facilities, and telecommunications. Over the years, the 2 countries have been at each other's sides and pulled together difficult times together, including typhoon, flood, and recent fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, as the Foreign Minister of China mentioned in his speech. Many of you present here have personally witnessed or have been involved in China-Philippine cooperation, and you know better than me about the concrete result it has delivered. Nevertheless, our relationship is not without difficulties, and the most difficult is about the dispute in the South China Sea, and both 2 previous speakers touched on this issue. It's a sensitive and complicated issue, and there is no easy solution. Whenever the 2 sides can properly handle and manage the differences, our cooperation would proceed without disruption. But when disputes are allowed to escalate or even get out of control, the overall bilateral relations would suffer. I've been watching the recent occasional hyping up of the disputes caused by some incidents related to some shores in China's Naisha Islands, and feel a bit concerned, hoping that the 2 sides would properly handle it and avoid rolling back the mutual trust that the two sides have been worked so hard to build over the past years. I think it's important to bear in mind the bigger picture and take a long-term view. I therefore have the following thoughts to share. First, respect and abide by the consensus reached by the leaders. Over the past years, President Xi Jinping and President Duterte discussed the issues concerning the disputes on a number of occasions. They went into great depths and reached profound understanding and agreed that the differences should not be allowed to interrupt the normal progress of the bilateral relationship. They should be put at an appropriate place and properly handled through dialogues. The two sides should follow this consensus in good faith. Second, maintain active communication. To enhance mutual understanding and build trust, the two sides may fully leverage the dialogue mechanisms created over the years, including China-Philippines Foreign Ministry consultations and the bilateral consultation mechanism on the South China Sea. Third, stay firmly on the positive side of the relationship. I'm aware that the election season is unfolding in Manila. The past experience shows that during such time, some people tend to bring up the disputes with China or try to stand tough against China, which appear to be politically correct. Some Filipino scholars are expressing concerns of such tendency, stating that the disputes should not become a defining issue for our relationship. I agree with such views and hope those who have foresight and stand for Sino-Filipino friendship can speak up and provide positive influence, and we should work together to keep our relations on the right track. I trust that people in both countries want to see the relationship bear rich fruit, and hope many of you who have contributed to our cooperation will continue to make dedicated efforts to help develop, safeguard, and advocate China-Philippine friendship. With our joint efforts, our friendship will stand tall and break the wind and rain. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Fu, for graciously accepting our invitation to answer some questions in the open forum. Madam Fu, your first ambassadorial post was with the Philippines some 24 years ago. Could you give us your personal assessment of the ups and downs of Philippine-China relations since then? How would you assess the foreign policy of President Duterte?
Thank you for asking the questions. I personally, I felt when I was ambassador and I observed over the years, I think friendly cooperation and people-to-people friendship remains the identifying trend of our relationship. But you mentioned the ups and downs. The downs were mostly caused by the differences and disputes concerning the islands and shores in the South China Sea. This is a difficult issue. You know, China in the older days was weak, was poor, and was semi-colonized, and was not able to protect its own safety and security. So history has left China with many outstanding, unresolved border and territory disputes. But China never renounced its right, its sovereign rights and its interest, and it cannot renounce it now. its position is unshakable. However, we understand the situation and we are willing to resort to peaceful solutions because we are aware that countries in disputes with China are friendly neighbors. Many of those countries had a similar experience with China, and that's why among many developing countries there are outstanding border disputes. So we have to respect the facts and try to find peaceful solutions, and that's China's decision. But China cannot accept the South China Sea, the arbitration, because China cannot accept the arbitration because it's not fair. And the law of the sea did not give countries the right to decide the territory. The law of the sea is about the maritime rights. And the law of the sea does not give any country the power, the right to impose on others. So China does not want to accept the unfair conclusion of the arbitration. However, we are determined to resort to peaceful means, and we trust that we should be able to manage the differences with our neighbors, especially with the Philippines, which is an understanding and friendly country. You ask about the foreign policy. I think I could see that President Duterte has been carrying out foreign policy of independence. His independent foreign policy has won him respect from countries in the region, including from China. And he is willing to face the difficult issues with China and find proper solutions. And he was able to reach consensus with the Chinese leaders, and allowing the relationship came out of difficult time and gained vitality. It's not only good for the two countries, two peoples, but also good for the region. So I hope in future, whoever is succeeding him will be able to wisely, courageously, and responsibly carry on Philippines' independent foreign policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Fu. How do you think can the people-to-people ties between Filipinos and Chinese be strengthened? Are there lessons the Philippines can learn from China's modernization? How can China assist the Philippines in its poverty alleviation efforts?
With regard to cooperation, the Foreign Minister Wang Yi talked about his thinking, and he summed up the relationship, the cooperation, the fruit, and he also talked about the prospect of cooperation. I think for China and the Philippines, we need to make the cake bigger. We need to continue to increase our cooperation. Actually, the momentum of our trade, of our investment cooperation has remained strong in spite of the pandemic. Last year, the trend, for example, the first 6 months, first half of last year, trade grew by more than 50%. It shows the vigor in the relationship. And at this moment, the most pressing task for the two countries is to fight the pandemic, to recover the economy, and to improve people's livelihood. So between China and the Philippines, the emphasis is on first to continue cooperation on at the medical side, including the research on new vaccines, stronger vaccines, and the effective cure. And China was the first country which provided vaccines to the Philippines, and China is willing to continue our cooperation in this area, including with the Chinese medicine. Ambassador Wang mentioned. I think here in China, there's emphasis on resorting to the traditional medicine in countering this new virus. So we can continue our partnership in this field. We are important. We have important tourist relations. I think we should also study the new rules and regulations in the post-pandemic era for communications, like customs rules, like how to prevent the spread of vaccine at the same time allowing people to move around. The second is to coordinate the efforts on the Belt and Road with the Filipino program and Build, the 3Bs program, which we hope will also benefit the two people. Third is to cultivate new growth areas for cooperation. For example, in the digital economy, green economy, low carbon economy. And fourth, there is high interest in partnership in building early warning and timely response capabilities against natural calamities and share experience on this post-calamity construction. China has some experience, and the Philippines has also lots of experience in this field. So we should share experience. There's a lot we can do together, and I'm confident that the two sides will be able to explore and to tap on the potentials. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Fu, some sectors in the Philippines and the West are accusing China of employing gray zone tactics and operations in the South China Sea, including China's expansion of artificial islands and the use of law enforcement like the China Coast Guard law. How would you respond to this? How can countries directly involved, like Philippines and China, resolve these serious maritime differences?
So gray zone. Before I move to your next question, I think I missed the 2 points you mentioned in your our last question. One is people-to-people exchanges. I think we really look forward to post-pandemic exchanges, but before then, we should keep active exchanges online, like we're doing this Manila Forum, which is in its 5th round. You also mentioned the poverty alleviation. Indeed, China, as a country with big population, has long been suffering from poverty. My generation, I myself have a keen memory of hunger. I think I felt I didn't need to worry about food on the table, only I was after 30 years old. But now with the reform and development, the success of development has brought prosperity in the country, but still huge number of people, especially in the rural area in China, was still under the poverty line. That was what the new program was targeted at. The program of poverty alleviation, which has been going on for 8 long years with very hard work. We have finally achieved the success. We can claim that we have eradicated extreme poverty. It concerned about 100 million people. The general target, when we talk about poverty alleviation in China, the general target was that people should have no worry for food and clothes, and should have been guaranteed with education, medical care, and housing. Now we are moving to the next stage, which is rejuvenizing scheme, introducing a rejuvenizing scheme to the rural area to make sure that the poverty alleviation success will be held. I myself here in Hainan, I visited some of the rejuvenizing countryside programs. It's very interesting. The business investment is introduced into the countryside. allowing the farmers to find economic activities with the help of new investment. So talking about experience, I think with my observation, I think it's important to help people the way they need, and also to help them in a way that can sustain. Now I understand, talking about cooperation in this field, well, I understand that Chinese State Council's Poverty Alleviation Office has formal contact with the Philippines Poverty Alleviation Committee, and they are discussing partnerships, including sharing experiences and the capability of building training. There's also the ASEAN-China Forum on Social Development and Poverty Reduction, and the Philippine-China Agricultural Cooperation Forum. There are these mechanisms will also help promoting cooperation in this field. So that was about the last question. And this one about the gray zone, I think it's as far as I know, United States in 2015 launched this gray zone white paper. I think it was in September. It referred to international competition. It's a strategic tool for international competition. But this is not the Chinese way of a strategic thinking. China, I've read lots of analysis and concerns about China's development of some of the shores, islands in the South China Sea. I remember when I was in the Asian department in the foreign ministry in the 1980s, China started developing some of the shores and built some facilities, but it was very primitive. At that time, we didn't have the resources, capabilities. Now we are able to improve. So we have enlarged some of the islands to improve the facilities, and then also make it better for the people who are stationed on them. I think there is unnecessary stories about China's effort. I don't think China has done anything going beyond the international law or its own national law. The concern on Coast Guard law, we adopted it at National People's Congress. I think that concern is also unnecessary because many countries have similar laws. The contents of China's Coast Guard law compared with other countries is nothing new. For example, US has these rules for use of force for United States Coast Guard. They are similar. And with this law, China's policy and China's the behavior of Chinese Coast Guard remain the same. There's no major changes. Generally speaking, I hope countries in this region should proceed more from the angle of cooperation when we think about the South China Sea. That will not only create a good atmosphere of cooperation, but also create an atmosphere for the diplomats to be able to seriously negotiate and discuss about solutions. As far as China is concerned, we, as I mentioned just now, that we are determined to resort to peaceful means. In 2002, China and ASEAN countries signed the DOC, and now the discussion of COC is also going on. And the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang, a few years ago proposed the idea of dual track approach for handling South China Sea issues, meaning that disputes should be peacefully resolved through negotiations and consultations by countries directly concerned, while peace and stability in South China Sea shall be maintained jointly by China and ASEAN countries together. And this this idea has been widely accepted. And I think if we proceed in this way, we should continue to be able to maintain general peace and stability in the region and keep the dispute under control. Thank you. You're muted, Jeffrey.
Thank you. As a former ambassador to Australia and the United Kingdom, you are uniquely qualified to know the change in attitude and relationship of these two countries towards China in the past decade. How would China deal with AUKUS, which aims to contain China?
Honestly speaking, when I learned about AUKUS, I was a bit surprised. When I was in Australia, I remember that China-Australia had a fairly close stand about the regional peace and stability, and there was a consensus on many issues. Now, apparently, Australia has made some directional changes in its policy towards China. So I feel concerned. And not only China expressed concern about AUKUS, many countries in the region also expressed concerns for fear of it undermining regional security and leading towards arms race, even nuclear arms race. China too is expressed concern about the nuclear proliferation risk, and it obviously is not in respect to the Southeast Asia nuclear-free zone development. In the post-Cold War period, the world witnessed many wars, conflicts, turbulence, but they didn't come to Asia. Asia, especially East Asian area, have maintained stability, maintained peace, thanks to the effort, especially with ASEAN as the leading force and the contribution of countries in the region. So we have been able to have economic prosperity against the background of general peace and stability. I don't see the AUKUS and the other few mechanisms like Quad, Five Eyes Alliance, they become active recently. And as you mentioned that they are obviously targeted at China, but there's nothing China has done that has invited this. And we don't believe these developments will alter the general direction of the region. So I hope that ASEAN remains strong in its dedication to peace and stability, and China ASEAN should work together to make sure that the peace direction of the region will not be swayed while being able to manage our differences. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Fu. And now for one last question concerning trade and economics. How would you respond to the speculations and fears that China will dominate RCEP, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership? How important do you think is it for the Philippines to be part of RCEP?
RCEP is going to come to force. It actually has come to force 1st of January 2020. Now, with the world economic prospect showing lots of uncertainties, with the global trade and economic stability being impacted by the pandemic, this RCEP, the fact that the countries in this region, many countries together can agree on RCEP and bring it to life, it will certainly help the regional recovery, economic recovery, and provide more vitality for the regional development. And it will also increase the weight, increase the weight of this region in the global economic picture. And RCEP was launched by ASEAN, and the result was negotiated, came from the negotiations of all members on equal footing. Every country had an equal say. And China was among the first countries to adopt it, to approve it, to finish the domestic procedures for approving it. In order, our purpose was to guide our businesses to understand and be ready for the launching of RCEP. Though China is the biggest economy among the members, but China in no way can dominate RCEP. It's the content, the nature, the structure of RCEP does not give the dominance to any country. It's a platform for equal multilateral economic cooperation. I heard the Trade Minister, Mr. Lopez, your Excellency, your Honorable, said that RCEP will help Philippine GDP growth, reduce poverty, and have a greater access for Filipino products into the market, and also make Philippines a hub for manufacturing and investing in the region. So I think it's a very good, sharp view of RCEP. The global assessment of the prospect of RCEP is, generally speaking, positive, and there are lots of expectations. I remember China-ASEAN negotiated the China-ASEAN free trade zone. There were lots of hesitations on the part of the Philippines. I think it's a traditional attitude, but in the end, Philippines benefited tremendously from the regional free zone arrangement. So this time, I hope Philippines will see the benefit and will move one step forward. And to be able to work like China together, we should prepare our market, prepare our businesses to be ready and to embrace the new situation RCEP will bring us, and to benefit as early as possible from this mechanism. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Fu, for your incisive analysis and very impressive knowledge of the foreign policy, security, trade, and economic issues confronting Philippines and China today. Now for our closing remarks, can we call on Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to the Philippines, Ambassador Wang Xilian.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Your Excellency Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, Your Excellency State Councilor Wang Yi, Your Excellency Madam Fu Ying, Honorable Secretaries, dear friends, good afternoon to you all again. At the outset, please allow me to extend my sincere gratitude to all the distinguished guests and friends attending this forum today. I will in particular acknowledge the gracious presence of distinguished secretaries, senators, congressmen, diplomats, senior officials, and friends from all walks of life. And my big thanks go to State Councilor Wang Yi and Madam Fu Ying for their insightful speeches and interactions with the audience. The keynote speech by State Councilor Wang was indeed inspiring, encouraging, and again demonstrating the great importance that the Chinese government has attached to China-Philippines relations. State Councilor Wang suggests that China and the Philippines are good neighbors which have gone through thick and thin. China would promote greater solidarity and cooperation with the Philippines. China would join hands with the Philippines to prevail over the pandemic, to speed up development and rejuvenation, to properly handle the South China Sea issues, and to maintain peace and stability in the region. I'm particularly glad that the State Councilor Wang announced that the Chinese government will provide another grant of 100 million renminbi yuan. And I believe that the full recovery of Filipinos and communities devastated by typhoon audit will not be far away. Madam Fu Ying shared a touching story about agricultural cooperation between China and the Philippines, and also her candid views on our bilateral relations, and her in-depth discussions with our guests on topics such as managing differences and seeking common development were sincere and constructive. Her thought-provoking views and suggestions deserve further consideration and discussion. Dear friends, the year 2022 is of great significance to both China and the Philippines, bringing either opportunities and challenges for China-Philippines relations. As we are both developing countries, and development is our top priority, President Xi Jinping put forth the Global Development Initiative, and we are now taking action to deliver on this major initiative. China will further promote collaboration with the Philippines, continue our support to the Philippines in fighting the pandemic and restoring economic and social recovery. China welcomes Philippines to seize opportunities and take advantage of China's development. As close neighbors, peace and stability are our common aspirations. Joint wisdom and guidance of our leaders, China is committed to working with the Philippines in managing differences properly, exploring practical maritime cooperation through friendly dialogues and consultations, and safeguarding peace and stability in this part of the world. Dear friends, true friendship would withstand the test of time. The success of today's forum marks a good start for the development of China-Philippines relations in the new year ahead. 2022 is the year of Tiger in Chinese lunar calendar. Forging ahead with the vitality of the tiger, I look forward to working in solidarity and collaboration with our Filipino friends along the path of common development, hand in hand for a stronger and reinforced China-Philippine friendship. Again, let's give a big applause to State Councilor Wang Yi and Madam Fu Ying for their enlightening speeches and contribution. And thank you all for attending this forum. Thank you, and mabuhay.
Thank you, Ambassador Wang, for your closing remarks. In behalf of APCU Chairman Raul Lambino, we would like to acknowledge our media partner today, ANC Channel, and also the participation of Secretary Delphine Lorenzana, Secretary Medardo Guevara, Senator Coco Pimentel, and Ambassador Carlos Chan. We are now concluding the 5th Manila Forum on Philippine-China Relations. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day ahead.
好，领导，谢谢啊 ，Thank you, Minister Fu. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for
You're
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mabuhay.
Okay, Chairman. Yeah, Lambino, how are you? Good to see you here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can you unmute Chairman Raul? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine, Mr. Ambassador, and
Oh yeah,
I'm okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
Good to have you here. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all friends. Thank you for joining us.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. Bye bye.